What's up, YouTube? We've got a 7-round Miami Dolphins mock draft coming to you guys. This video also is going to be a little bit of an informative announcement video. I got a bunch of just little housekeeping notes that I want to make sure you guys are up to date on. Some of the stuff I've been working on, as well as some of the content heading your way. So some big news I just announced today. My roster for Xbox, that's TFG Real 2020, is available right now with all off-season transactions. So go download that sucker. You guys are going to enjoy it. Now, I do ask just one thing real quick. Check out my tweet in the description below. I kind of detailed all the little stuff I had to do to make this thing work, to make it as realistic as possible for you franchise players out there. It took a lot of work, basically. And if you enjoy it, if you see it as a DLC that you would pay $5 or $10 for, I do ask that you guys consider a donation. Those links for my Venmo, PayPal, and of course on Patreon are in that tweet. They're in the description down below. So if you enjoy it, I do ask you just consider it. It took a lot of time. It's a free service to you guys. So that's all I'm going to ask about that. But most importantly, do enjoy that roster. And I will have more information. Probably going to do an announcement video for that once I get the rookies in there after the draft. So as far as the draft is concerned, please do come back here on draft night. I know you have lots of great options out there to consume the draft. I am very proud of the work I've put into digging into these players, watching the film, putting my grades out. And I'm so excited to react, see how this thing all plays out, and live stream and hang out with you guys during the draft. So I do ask that you consider to choose TFG for the draft. It'll be here on YouTube Thursday night for the draft, and then on Twitch, that's twitch.tv/ThatFranchiseGuy on Friday and Saturday nights of the draft. And then the last thing I want to say, as we're on the topic of Twitch, tonight we've got some really exciting stuff. Starting at 7 p.m. Eastern time, I'm doing a little bit of a hefty endeavor tonight live on Twitch. I'm going to do a 32-man, or 32-team rather, 7-round mock draft on Twitch. Probably not going to be reacting too much to the comments during that like I normally do, but that thing's going to be a banger. I'm really excited for that, so definitely go join me tonight on Twitch. And after that stream, I am taking on the Browns in the TFGO League, the game of the week. We're undefeated with my Chiefs in our 6th season, so that's going to be a great game as well. So definitely head over to Twitch tonight, starting around 7 p.m. Eastern. You're going to have a lot of quarantine entertainment there on Twitch tonight. And then the last little bit I need to say, if you enjoy this 7-round mock draft that we're about to do, on my Patreon, patreon.com/ThatFranchiseGuy, there are a bunch of videos just like this throughout the rest of this weekend. I'm going to be finishing up every single team's mock draft video up on Patreon, where there's also film breakdowns and access to my draft board. So if you enjoy this and you want to see more of them, if you're bored this weekend, you can get access to those on my Patreon with the MVP Draft Insider package. So I'm sorry for dealing out all that information. Let's get into this exciting mock draft with these Miami Dolphins, and please do hit that like button down below. So for this mock, I'm going to be using the Pro Football Focus mock draft simulator, which is a ton of fun. I do encourage you guys to go play around with this thing. It's a lot of fun. They've had some server issues, but it's a blast. So you can do drafts for needs. I like to do a little positional value, a little bit random. You know, sometimes you get some craziness, but hey, that's the NFL draft. There's always some crazy stuff that happens. So as far as a trade up, I'm not going to do that. This site lets you do it before the draft starts. And again, I'm drafting off of my draft board. You guys can't see it on this screen, but when it's on Patreon, you can, because you have access to that draft board. But as far as this video is concerned, I am going to be hiding my draft board. Anyway, let's go ahead and resume this thing. Start the mock. It will ask you if you want to trade up. I do not. And the first 4 picks go in order. Actually, not necessarily. A little misdirection here. Detroit went with Simmons, and Akudo went to the Giants. Inverse of what I might expect here if I'm picking at 5. So you guys know I'm not taking Tua here at 5. I really just am not interested in doing that. The injury concerns, this offensive line, I'm not even that high on Tua as a quarterback, minus the injury stuff. The Wonderlic stuff just came out. Don't put a lot of weight into that, but it's just another thing that's kind of making me shy away from him. So I actually would love to trade down because I am definitely thinking about an offensive tackle, but I am very split on the top 3 guys. I do have Andrew Thomas 1, Wills, and then Wirfs. But if I can trade down, and it looks like Carolina's interested, that's what's great about this, is they have teams that'll call you. So if I can get, a 3rd round pick, can I get a 3rd from the that's actually 69. Can I get a 3rd round pick just to move down 2 spots? I would love to do that, and I am not willing to give up any more. Trades accepted. To move down 2 spots, probably get the guy I'm going to take anyway. Pick up that 3rd round pick. It's a no-brainer. I might even trade down again. We'll see. So let's continue. And 2 quarterbacks go. We still have our pick of the litter. The Jets are interested in trading up. I feel pretty good that we can get Wills, Thomas, or Wirfs at 11. Can I pick up a 3rd round pick from the Jets as well? Let's give it a go. They don't want to do that. Well, then screw it. You saw what I'm looking for. I just made this move. So I'm going to go ahead and take Andrew Thomas, my number 1 tackle. He is a left tackle as opposed to Wirfs and Wills that are right tackles. The other thing here is I like some of the mid-round, day 2, day 3 right tackles in this class a ton. The left tackle's not quite as much, and that left tackle, people like to say, is more important. That's up for debate. I'm going to go ahead and take Andrew Thomas, and we will be picking soon unless I trade up. But we are going to take Andrew Thomas, and then I want to pause because with these 3 quarterbacks gone, I still have not taken a quarterback, but my number 2 quarterback is currently on the board. So would the Raiders, after 3 wide receivers just went, move down? They would get back-to-back picks at 18 and 19. I'm gonna give them a little chat. Can I give them the pick I got from the Panthers, which I believe was 69? Give them this pick, 18. And then I probably also need to include like a future 4th. Trade accepted. Wow, I love that. So we moved down, got a free asset that we then use to move up. I mean, a 2021 4th. We're hoping we're a winning team by that point. That's nothing. So we basically moved up for free to go from, we took the guy we would have taken at 5 anyway, used that pick we got to then go up and grab my number 2 quarterback in this class, Jordan Love. Can you draw it up any more perfect for the Miami Dolphins if you do believe in my evaluations? I certainly can't. So what a start. I am going to pause it again because we have the 26th pick. And I just want to make sure we're not missing out on anything that's falling here. Now, Kayvon Chesson has gone rather. Kinlaw has gone. CJ Henderson, well, we wouldn't take a corner here anyway. So I'm going to go ahead and resume this because I'm not trading up. So AJ Epinesa is there. One player that I am crazy about is Antoine Winfield out of Minnesota. Spoiler alert, just made this pick. I was picking for the Dolphins in my Discord mock draft, and I was just thinking about this. Antoine Winfield here would make this a top 3 secondary in the NFL. That secondary, if you want to go off, if you want to check out their depth chart, it is in really good shape, but that free safety position is kind of an eyesore right now because Eric Rowe's a good, strong safety. He knows the scheme very well. Slot corner, Nick Needham, we can find a slot corner whenever. But Adrian Colbert is our free safety in a year after we gave up Minkah Fitzpatrick. I want to fill that here at pick 26. We've gotten a lineman. I like the depth in the second round that we're going to be looking at. So I'm going to take Antoine Winfield. He can be our Devin McCourty in this defense that is so inspired by Bill Belichick, Matt Patricia, and we can build outside, up, and in. We got Byron Jones in free agency. We're going to grab our safety here, who's my number 1 safety in the class, who I have a first-round grade on. We're going to grab Antoine Winfield to make this a dominant secondary. And then I'm going to stay put. I'm going to take stay true to my board in the second round. Unfortunately, Cesar Ruiz goes the pick before us. Would have loved to grab him, but there's other options 100% here. So looking at offensive line. So as of last night, I actually moved Isaiah Wilson to guard on my draft board, and he is the number 1 guard on my board. I don't think he's got the technique, the kick slide to play tackle. Maybe he can, and maybe he comes in and competes at tackle. Regardless, this offensive line is an absolute train wreck. I want the best pieces in place for Jordan Love. Is there a number 1 wide receiver on the board? Pittman's a little redundant with what we got. KJ Hamler, that speed element, certainly tempting. I don't know if we're taking that right here. Being a little more of a raw prospect. So I'm going to, take offensive line here at the top of this draft. And the guy I'm going to take, actually, Matt Peart is there as well. Whew, man, there. Like I said, you got options here in the second. I do have a first-round grade on Matt Peart. And I took a left tackle earlier. Now I can get my right tackle. I actually feel much better about Peart as a player than Isaiah Wilson. So I was kind of talking myself into that pick. But you can see the logic there. We are going to grab Matt Peart. We get 2 starting tackles, 2 guys with first-round grades. I'm just in love with this draft right now. And then we pick again relatively soon. I do want to pause it for a second. KJ Hamler just went. DeAndre Swift is gone. So that was the only other guy I was going to talk about. If we could put Swift in here behind this group now, that'd be interesting. Isaiah Wilson, though, is still there. And that's a huge need, is guard, but we do have Flowers. We got Michael Dieter, who I actually think with better talent around him can develop. And then center, we got Ted Karras. Not ideal, but this offensive line's starting to look a hell of a lot better just after those 2 picks. I do still want to target one more interior offensive lineman, but I'm not going to trade up for Isaiah Wilson. If he's there, I might take him, but let's just go ahead to our next pick. And Netain Moody is there. Tyler Biadasz is there. I think I might be able to get Biadasz in the second, and he can compete at center, and I would reunite him with Michael Dieter at right guard, which would be awesome, but I don't think I need to spend this pick on him. This offensive line would be looking real nice after that. Isaiah Wilson is still there as well, which is very tempting. I do want to take a peek at wide receiver. The wide receiving core here is really good. That slot, quick separator is definitely a need for me. Albert Wilson's a good player, but he's not really long for this team. I think adding a guy like a Devin Duvernay, who is my number 6 wide receiver in this class, would be the perfect fit here. So I'm going to actually add an offensive playmaker here in the second round. We're going to grab Devin Duvernay. And then I'm hoping we can get Tyler Biadasz with our next pick, which is getting very close here. So I'm going to gamble and hope we can get him. There's other centers that I like Nick Harris and Matt Hennessy. So if it's not Biadasz, it's not the end of the world. If you're trading up for someone, you gotta, it's got to be a situation where you absolutely hate the other players at that position that you're going to be looking at, or if it's a quarterback. That's really the 2 times I'm trading up. So Isaiah Wilson does go, but we're on the clock, and Tyler Biadasz is sitting right there. It has his Netain Moody, which is tempting, but I am going to go ahead and grab Tyler Biadasz. He's going to compete at center, be right back with Michael Dieter, and all of a sudden, this offensive line has some excitement to it with Thomas, Peart, and Biadasz. And we got a starting slot receiver in Devin Duvernay, or at least a guy that's going to eventually take over for Albert Wilson. So I'm very happy with what we're doing on the offensive side of the ball. I'm going to let this board play out, and then maybe thinking about a running back, going defense later in this draft. But we're just going to let this thing skip ahead. I'm not thinking about any trades up after what we've handled in this class so far. So let's look at running back, because I think here in the 4th round, this is a gaping need on this team. And Anthony McFarland's kind of staring me in the face right now, as is Darrington Evans. I'm actually a little disappointed in the crop here. I do like Michael Hasty. This actually would probably be a little early for these guys. I like Anthony McFarland, but I don't know if he's ever going to be that feature back. I do like Darrington Evans, but in like an outside zone scheme that I don't necessarily think we're running here. Gibson is just kind of an interesting player, but I'm actually going to punt running back to the next round. Do I consider a tight end here? The tight end group is fine. It's nothing special, but none of these tight ends are anything I'm too excited about. So I'm gonna wait till next year's class on that. If I could get a hybrid edge player here, that would be nice. Let's take a look at the edge linebacker group. Because we do have Van Noy, we do have Vince Beagle, but I would love to have more of an actual pass rushing edge outside linebacker or a defensive end, whatever it may be in this scheme. Because you got Ogba, Lawson, those guys aren't great pass rushers either. So if I could find a guy that would be a good scheme fit here, I would love to, but this class is just not ideal. I do like Carter Coughlin later in this class, but unfortunately this edge group just is not very talented. Maybe you look at an Everson Griffin or a Jadeveon Clowney in free agency, but right now we're probably going to have to let this edge group be. Defensive interior is another position we could think about. I do think that Malcolm Roach is an excellent fit in this defense that runs some of those hybrid looks. He can be that 3-4 defensive end. Davin Godchaux, I believe his contract's set to expire after Christian Wilkins, who to me is like a number 2 guy, not a number 1. You're not fired up about any of these guys, so to get another piece on that interior defensive line, I think might be the pick here. Malcolm Roach, I do have a 4th round grade on him. He's been falling to like the 5th round in some of these mocks, but that's a pretty big need at this point. So we're going to grab Roach, who I like his upside quite a bit. And then a couple other positions I'm thinking about is slot corner. So if we could grab like, where's Javelin Guidry? Is he as a safety on this? He may have gone already. Looks like Guidry already went. Let's see. Does it show up if I... Wow, so Javelin Guidry going a little earlier with the PFF mock. It's all right. There's other slot corners available, but not here in the 4th round or wherever we are. Let's look back at running back, and sure enough, pretty much the same options. I just don't know. You do have Jordan Howard here, so you take Anthony McFarland to be the 3rd down guy here. That could be electric. Let's go ahead and do that. You just have so many picks here. At this point in the draft, you really just want to go best player available. Any wide receivers falling in this incredible class? Joe Reed, but we've already got 2 slot guys. I think we're probably pretty good at wide receiver. The wide receiver group here is very good. What about tight end? Colby Parkinson's an interesting player. I don't know if I trust this offense to really make the most out of him, who's more of a slot wide receiver at his best. And then, Dalton Keith's an interesting prospect, but the tight end group this year is just not good. At tackle, Shadeed Charles is not a good football player. You could add more guard depth to this group. I do like Solomon Kinley. I've got a 3rd to a 4th round grade on him. That's the one position we haven't drafted here is guard. We took 2 tackles and a center, even though they list Biadash as a guard. So Kinley can compete with Michael Dieter and Trey Flowers, get us that swingman on this offensive line. Let's go ahead and grab him. Just trying to add some talent to this group. Now, I do want to walk out of here with a corner, and ideally it'd be a slot corner. So John Reed's an intriguing slot guy. Kindle Vildor is definitely intriguing as a guy that can run man coverage. We know that these Belichickian defenses love man. So Kindle Vildor definitely on my radar. I do want to see if they have any slot corners listed at safety here. Isang Bassi is a guy. Miles Bryant is a guy that we could talk about later as a slot guy. But the good slot corners in this class have kind of flown off the board, which isn't the end of the world. Like, we do have Nick Needham, who played there pretty well last year, but I would love to get like Javelin Guidry or Josiah Scott, Amik Robertson, one of these really good slot corners in this class. Unfortunately, they are just not there. I do like Shaheem Carter as kind of a hybrid safety corner type of guy. I might be able to get him with our next pick, though. Who does PFF say is the best player on the board at the moment? They actually have Shaheem Carter up there. So maybe we should just take him. So that kind of made the decision a little easier. We're going to grab Shaheem Carter. Probably not going to start here, but he can be that sixth defensive back here that will play. We know these defenses love those secondary members back there. And then one guy I've got my eye on at this point in the draft is Michael Hasty, another running back here. Better between the tackles runner than Anthony McFarland. I compare him to Aaron Jones, who went around this point in the 2017 draft. So we're going to grab Michael Hasty, trying to find that sleeper running back here. Take a couple swings, because I do like the talent in Hasty and McFarland. There's always talent in the 5th, 6th, 7th round at running back. So take a couple swings. We got some extra picks. Hopefully we can hit that kind of 4-year steal of a running back like an Aaron Jones. We still have not gone edge. One player that is someone I have not talked a lot about, because there's a lot of hybrid edge defensive players in this class. Tipa Galeai is an intriguing guy. He's a super athlete, really lengthy, rare in coverage, rare kind of explosiveness, get off and bend. He's a total boomer bust guy. Like, he's probably not going to result in anything, but there's something in there as far as his athleticism and instincts and just, the kind of upside with his length. And he can play that coverage hybrid role. So I'm going to take him, just kind of a little dart throw. And then let's take a peek, because if I can grab Kindle Wilder this late, I cannot. He is gone. That's fine. I'm going to grab L'Jarius Sneed instead. We did take Antoine Winfield, but you never know. We're talking about a 7th round pick here. This guy ran a 4.38. His tape is not bad. He's a good tackler. He is a rangy free safety type. It's a rare trait. Let's see if we can find a small school gem here. If nothing else, he can be the 3rd safety, compete with Shaheem Carter. Love having all these picks. And a total luxury pick here, Tristan Jackson has fallen to the 7th round. He's one of my sleepers. He's like my 18th wide receiver in this class. I compared him to Darius Slayton, who can run go balls, run slants. We've got wide receiver talent here, and I hadn't been really keeping an eye on the wide receiver board the last couple rounds. But my goodness, talk about a steal this late in the draft. And this draft for the Dolphins, unbelievable, man. This would be an all-time epic draft. I know this video got pretty long, but look at all these picks we had to make for this team. Oh, God, what an upgrade. What an influx of talent for this Dolphins team. Whew. All right, guys, I hope you enjoyed. I hope you hit that like button. If you want more of these 7-round mocks, go to Patreon, check it out. Leave your comments down below. Peace.